Hello. I just wanted to get on here and share an opportunity that I had to sit in on a group called Dementia Friends. I was able to learn a little bit about this group and really what they are. So, a group of individuals who are spreading knowledge and awareness of dementia and how we can best support those we know and love with dementia, but also how we can help in general with those that we may encounter that have dementia. I'm going to start by sharing my story. And my story revolves around my grandmother, who was a very, very important part of my life growing up and all through my adulthood. She was that person that you knew if you wanted to do something, she was all about it. She wanted to go, she wanted to do things, anything. She told me at one time that she was going to jump out of a plane with me when she turned 80. She would have done it had it not been for a hip replacement. But I remember growing up, we went to ball games. We went to, camping. We went to Mexico with them. We went to Canada. We traveled with them. And my grandma was always the first to go, let's do this. Let's try this. Come do this. Just amazing, amazing woman who loved people and loved to do things. Very sarcastic and witty. Just an amazing person. And into my adulthood, she continued to be that same person, just quick-witted, and she loved her grandkids and her great-grandkids, and seeing whatever sport, play, anything that they did, she was going to be there. As she aged a little bit, we started to notice some signs of what you would consider like a typical dementia, where she's forgetful, where she started to maybe not remember everything quite the way it happened, or forgetting to do some everyday tasks. Things that really started to concern us was when she started to leave the stove on. One time she left the sink running with the plug in, and she ended up overflowing the sink and fell and injured herself. So we started to see those signs in her. But she was still her. She was still that same sarcastic, witty grandmother that I grew up with. And, we just kind of associated it with aging. Some of it did seem to be signs of something maybe a little bit more in depth going on, but we just kind of all went, okay, well, let's deal with it. Let's figure out what we're going to do. So we did place her in an assisted living home, which she loved it. She used to joke about the little old woman that lived across the road from her, which was across the hallway, and she was about 10 years younger than her. But that was the little old woman. She at that time had a hip replacement, and she was using a walker. She had a horn on her walker that she would go up behind people and honk the horn and scare them, and she thought it was funny. We would bring my dog in. My dog was like her best friend. I was always last on the list of who came here. Where's your husband? Where's your kids? Where's the dog? Oh, look, you're here too. But she was still her. And then it started to get a little bit more, the changes were very noticeable, where she would forget to get dressed. And one time they found her walking outside half dressed. She got very angry. At times she was aggressive. She would throw things. You could tell there was something very different. And then she would have these little moments of clarity and ask, did I do something? I had a conversation with her one time, and she said, what did I do today? Did I do something silly? Because it was like she knew that she was doing things, but she couldn't help to do them. It was very painful to watch as she progressed through this. At times she didn't know her children. She didn't know why she was where she was. She would look for my grandpa who had passed away. She thought my mom was not my mom anymore. She was someone else in the family. It was very painful to watch as she went through this process, to the point that eventually she didn't really recognize too much of anything. Before she passed away, she had several moments of clarity with her grandkids, where she was able to just briefly, we saw who she used to be, and was able to share that moment where we all got to say goodbye. So we saw the process. We saw the changes. We saw how it progressed and how difficult it was on everybody. And I've worked in a lockdown unit for Alzheimer's. So I've seen the process, I've seen it happen, but I had not at that point seen it happen in my family and to my loved one. And I really did see the pain. And I also felt like there was some judgment on when she would act the way she did, and people would look at you like, what is wrong with that woman? And I get it. I felt it. So when this opportunity came into our class, I wasn't sure what I would think of this, but we got the opportunity to sit through an information session for a group called Dementia Friends. And Dementia Friends is a group of individuals who are really just an amazing group of people who are trying to break that stigma of having Alzheimer's and to help people to deal with those people who do have Alzheimer's and also the people who are caring for them. So there are so many things that I did learn from them when we were able to attend this session. But some of the top things that I came out with this was, when you're dealing with someone with dementia, don't forget that they were a person or are a person, and that's just that stigma that you feel is people are like, oh, I bet they were great when they were, younger, or when we heard that about my grandma. Oh, I bet she was really a nice person. You know what? She still is a nice person. Dementia is a disease. It is not part of aging. It is a disease, and we need to treat it as such, because that was very hurtful to us to hear those words. Oh, she was. They're still a person, so they need to be treated like a person. The other thing that really touched me was the communication, that it's not just about, we see how frustrated we are when we communicate with someone who is struggling. But we did an exercise where I was asked a question, but I couldn't answer for 20 seconds. And it sounds like that's not a long time until you're sitting there waiting to answer that question. And you have 20 seconds. That 20 seconds feels like an eternity. And at the end of the exercise, the questions were asked how I felt about it. And I said, I felt the frustration of knowing the answer, but not being able to say it. But then listening to the other people who said they felt like maybe she didn't hear the question, or maybe I should say it louder, or maybe I need to say it in a different way. So there was so much frustration on both ends, but people forget that the person who probably is the most frustrated is the person who is sitting there with dementia, who wants to say the right things, but can't. So I really did enjoy Dementia Friends, and I would highly encourage anyone who wants to learn more about how to deal with dementia and those with dementia to check their website out. It's Dementia Friends Indiana. They have lots of volunteer opportunities. You can also become a dementia champion, where you can go and you can speak to either nursing homes or, at your work or wherever, to spread the news about how to break that stigma of having dementia, and also to help share that there is support out there for both families dealing with dementia and also for those people who have dementia. And just as warning signs can be very, very minimal. When you start to forget things, that's fairly normal aging. It's when you start to forget things that are everyday tasks. Like, I forgot how to brush my hair today. I forgot how to, put my socks on. Those are things that we need to be cognizant of, and things that are usually an everyday occurrence, or people that you see every day and can't remember their name. If you can't remember your neighbor down the road's name, if you don't see them every day, you may not. But if it's when you notice that they can't remember their spouse's name, or their, siblings' names, or their kids' names, grandkids, things like that, just very important that we get treatment for them early. There is no cure for dementia, but if we get them in to see someone soon, then we can start to learn how to deal with it. So again, I would highly recommend going to Dementia Friends and check out their website, check out what offers they have to get involved. And if you don't want to get involved, even just learning about it, it definitely helped to change my perspective on some things. And it made me feel like I wasn't alone when I guess the best thing to say is I would have loved to have had that when my grandmother was going through it, because it did feel very lonely at times when you're watching your loved one go through this disease. So please go check out their website.